Alright, episode 3 of Bidir Ball. Today I'm going to talk about two teams that are forever going to be linked together just because of the rivalry they've had the past couple of years. I'm going to talk about City and Liverpool and them basically doing two things at the same time that we're not really accustomed to them doing. First, Liverpool underperforming a lot offensively. We haven't been used to that in the past couple of years. And City haven't really been known to be so stout defensively, especially now from their center backs in the past couple of years. So let's just start with the Liverpool part first, all right? So obviously a lot has been made. They haven't scored a goal in like what feels like a million years. They've drawn a million games. They lost to Burnley. They lost to Southampton. They drew to United and West Brom and somebody else I can't remember right now. They haven't won in a while is the point, okay? And basically all the hot takes are out, obviously. Obviously, Mane and Salah apparently don't have the X factor, whatever the hell that means now. Having won a Champions League and a Premier League now they don't have the X factor. Back then, no word was said about the X factor. Apparently, all teams need to do is play a deep block against Liverpool. No team in the past 5 years has ever thought about doing that, all right? Only geniuses with a mic on Twitter. I realize that's me now, but like still. Only those guys have figured out with their galaxy brain takes. Only those guys have figured out that you need to put 10 men behind the ball against Liverpool, and then that gives you a chance. Because obviously, no manager, no team, Sean Dyche, Sam Allardyce, Steve Bruce, none of those guys ever thought, hey, how about we park the bus? How about we defend against Liverpool? None of them ever thought of that until this year. The past 4 years, everybody's just been attacking Liverpool nonstop. That's what they've been doing. It's actually been incredible. Every team plays like City against Liverpool. That's what you'd see according to Twitter. No, it's a bunch of crap. Basically, I just wanted to peel away the layers maybe, and let's kind of see. There must be something more. It can't just be, they're defending. I mean, a big part of it is, all right, I'm just going to go through the most basic, the obvious one, bad form. Yes, they're underperforming, and in an offense that is fundamentally built around individual brilliance, which, by the way, is not a knock. Everything in football is built around individual brilliance, all right? No one can do anything with bad players, at least not at that top level. No one can do anything with bad players. Liverpool's system is built around, I am going to get the ball to these brilliant players, to Mane and Salah and Firmino. I'm going to get them the ball so often, and eventually something is going to give. Either defensively you're going to make a mistake, or one of those three guys is going to do something absolutely insane and they're going to score a goal. That's their whole philosophy. I'm just going to continuously overwhelm you until you give in. Okay? So, I think two parts. First of all, obviously the underperforming. They're underperforming expected goals since they beat Palace 7-0. Right? They've scored one goal on 7.7 xG, which isn't my favorite stat. I don't really like using it, but I mean it paints a picture, especially seeing as they've had the most crosses completed, which I mean I get it, they take the most anyway, but also the most passes into the box. So clearly their chance creation is still up there. They're still creating. Why aren't they scoring? Well, obviously there's the bad form of the players. Salah, Mane, and Firmino have just been bad. But then also, if you try to think about it a little bit more, try to think about their philosophy. Basically, a couple years ago, when Klopp was first at Liverpool, I think it was when first joined Liverpool, I think it was 2016. He went on Sky and they basically, they asked him all the break down your philosophy into little bite-sized bits. And he was talking about gegenpressing, and he was basically telling his thing is pressing is the playmaker of the team. All right, his thought is, or his philosophy is, if I give it to number 10 or a playmaker, I need him to create. I want him to be one pass away so he can make that one pass, and then I get a really good chance. He thinks, rightly obviously, that if I just press and I win the ball high, I'm automatically just one pass away from a really good chance, right? Now, when you have really good players, which is what he does have, usually the ball, when you win the ball high up, you get the ball to Salah, you get the ball to Mane, okay? And automatically from that, just like he says, you're one pass away usually, right? One pass away, and you're not only is the person passing it brilliant, the player that's receiving it and trying to score is also usually brilliant. So just an overwhelming amount of quality with that pressing usually puts them over the top. Now, the part I really wanted to focus on is all the injuries, but not in the, oh my God, feel bad for them, oh this and that. The part I feel like everybody's missing is everybody keeps going like, oh, well, yeah, they lost Van Dijk, and oh, yeah, they lost Joe Gomez, right? But their defense hasn't suffered. Yeah, because I'm not looking at the defense. I'm looking at those injuries to explain the offense. And the idiots online that will come and tell you that those aren't linked don't understand the game. Okay? Everything on a football pitch is linked. You lose a right back, you become worse offensively. You lose a center back, you become worse offensively. If you're at that level of a team, those kind of things do make that difference. Now, if you want to go into it more depth, why does losing Van Dijk and why does losing Joe Gomez affect their attack? Okay, because from those quotes I just mentioned about Klopp's pressing philosophy, right? You could clearly tell pressing is their playmaker. It's how they get the highest quality of chances. So what has happened due to Van Dijk and Gomez getting injured? One of their best ball winners in Fabinho has had to go back into center back, which is ironic because this is exactly what happened to City last year. Last year, Laporte and Stones and all these guys were injured, which forced City to have to take Fernandinho back. And if you look at the numbers, it's very similar. But just specifically to Liverpool, since in 4 games, Liverpool played 3 games with Fabinho at defensive midfield, pre all the injuries. And then I think 10 games going forward with him at center back following the injuries, right? And I get it, it's a different sample size, but I just wanted to take a look at it just because when I saw the clip of him on Sky Sports from 5 years ago, and I was thinking like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, maybe that's what's different. So I go and look at the stats, and just since Fabinho moved back into defense, their percentage of tackles in midfield has gone down 20%, which means basically, when you win the ball, if you're winning the ball 20% more now in defense, not in the midfield, right? If you're winning it that far back, you're no longer 1 pass away from a chance. You're 5, 6, 7 passes away. So when I give the ball to Wijnaldum, when I give the ball to Henderson, I don't want those guys to have to build the attack from scratch. The idea is, and obviously not everything in football flows that way, but the idea is I'm going to win the ball so high up that all I'm going to need them to do is quick pass to Salah, quick pass to Mane, quick pass to Firmino, all this kind of stuff. If they win, the deeper they win the ball, which is what's happening, they win the ball now more in defense, 10% more in defense. Now 10% more, they win the ball 10% in the final third, 10% more in the final third. I think I attributed to that into just Klopp's actual instructions. I think he's telling them to press higher up top, knowing that he has this deficiency now in midfield. And even recently in the games when Matip went down, Henderson even had to go back to play center back. So imagine how much ball winning you're losing in those cases. Basically, one of the most important things, last year when you watched Liverpool, I think one emotion that encapsulated the whole way of watching them play was basically it felt like it was an ocean, like the wave after wave after wave just eroding at your defense, just continuously coming at you. They attack, all right, they play a back cross, it doesn't work, you try to build at the back, they win it so quick, they bring it back again and again and again and again until eventually you have to give. There's only so much a defense can take. There's only so many opportunities, so many crosses, so many passes into the box that you can usually take, right? I think part of that sensation of just overwhelming, just wave after wave after wave, I think that is slowly getting less and less and less the more Fabinho plays at center back. Another thing is, I just think the individual brilliance, the individual brilliance part, obviously is a big component of that, right? Now, Salah and Mane obviously haven't been good the past couple of games, and my thing is now all the revisionism has to come against those guys. Oh well, they can't dribble. Oh well, they can't do this. Oh well, they can't do that. The problem is they haven't been able to do any of that stuff at any point in their careers. None of those guys have actually changed their game. Okay, their game is still exactly the same. And all this kind of nonsense, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time until they start converting the chances. And it's not like in these games, they're winning the XG battle in every single game. They're creating chances, and they're not just creating chances, they're creating quality chances. So it is only a matter of time. The trouble is there's definitely a possibility that they've missed their chance now, and now there's a gap, and they have to pray that City's defense dominance, which I'm about to talk to about in a second, is susceptible, and that stops happening. Because if the City the way they're going, I still think I'm not gonna. At the beginning of the season, I picked Liverpool to win the title, so I'm not gonna switch right automatically. But it does not look good. I'll just leave it at that. All right. So for the City part, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna be completely truthful. I don't like watching City. Generally, I don't enjoy it, and I don't like Pep. So generally, I just stay away from watching them. But to do this part, I wanted to do the Liverpool part, and then I saw, okay, City are being this brilliant defensively. I gotta watch and see how they're doing it. What's happening? So basically, I came into watching the game. I watched a couple games, and I came into it thinking, okay, they must be protecting their center backs a lot. Like, there's no way you can get this many clean sheets without some sort of protection. And actually, what I came across was somewhat yes, somewhat no. They are protecting them, but not in the conventional way you'd think. So basically, at the beginning of the season, I looked at their lineups. At the beginning of the season, they were playing Fernandinho and Rodri together, two defensive midfielders in midfield, right? And obviously, that did not go well. They lost 5-2 to Leicester. They drew 0-0 to United. It's still a formation they use every once in a while, but they've gone away from it now. Now it's mainly Rodri, usually at DM. Sometimes it's Fernandinho who's starting alone as well. But basically, when that happens, and finally, the main component, actually, I forgot to mention, the main component I see in terms of personnel is Pep finally trusting Cancelo, both at right back and left back. I mean, that dude is a baller. And I will laugh forever at all those idiot Juve fans who came back at me in the last video about saying, oh, the Danilo deal was okay, capital gains. Oh, I don't give a fuck about capital gains. I don't, okay? You got the worst player. You got the worst player. And Danilo's been fine. That's cool. But he's not half the player Cancelo is. So the deal was stupid. So basically, if you actually watch them, what they do is, in possession, Cancelo and, let's say, Walker, or Cancelo and Zinchenko, who have usually played together because Walker gets injured sometimes. Those guys are playing as inverted fullbacks. They're basically in midfield side by side with the defensive midfielder, in this case, let's say Rodri, right? They're side by side with Rodri, which basically, both are very good on the ball, obviously. Zinchenko being a former attacking midfielder, and Cancelo is basically a right winger anyway, so he's already good on the ball. And basically, both those guys, what their function I see is, when City does lose the ball, it is impossible to counter them down the middle because of all that. Because you have Zinchenko, Cancelo, and Rodri immediately. Once you turn, you get the ball and you turn, and you look, it's three guys in midfield, aside from Gundogan and De Bruyne and all those other guys, right? So automatically, it makes it harder to counter right down the middle. But what it does give you, and what City are basically seceding, is the wings. They're basically, that's all defense is really. Defense is basically, what am I willing to give up? Okay, because you can't cover everything. No team in history can cover everything. Okay, you have to give up something. City's concession is, we're going to give you the wings. You're going to, as soon as you see that midfield all clumped up, what you're going to do is you're going to play it out wide, okay? And your winger or your forward, generally, is going to go one-on-one with Stones, usually, because Cancelo usually attacks higher, or Diaz on the other side, right? And we have so much faith in those guys that they're going to beat you one-on-one, which is an insane. I'm not even going to lie. When I first watched it, and I saw it the first couple of times, especially John Stones, and I watched, I'm going to just pinpoint the Brighton game specifically. They won against Brighton. Man, he must have gotten 6 or 7 1v1s. Just the winger looking right at him, 40 yards of spacing behind, no support whatsoever, and it's just, I mean, he's just at the mercy of the 1v1, and he was winning every single one of them in like brilliant fashion. I wish I could show you clips and stuff, but I mean, YouTube copyright and all that stuff. But I mean, like his technique, I'm not even gonna lie, I was not the biggest fan, but after watching those couple of games, like the positions they put him in, and the success at which he does it, or at least is doing it right now, is insane. Like I played defense when I play football. I played as a defender. And the hardest thing they can do is ISO you with a lot of space in behind. It's almost impossible. I mean, automatically you're slower than the guy usually, right? You're slower than the attacker. And it's just so hard with everybody rushing back for you to manage the situation, slow down the attack, and also slow down the attack, but also not get beat in behind. He did it incredibly. Just perfect execution. To the point where I'm like, the first couple of times I'm watching it and he's going 1v1, I'm like, all right, there is no way this works. There's absolutely, even though I know they've won these games, I'm just like, there's no way. There must be like an element of luck involved. How? There's no way they leave this guy 1v1 12 times a game. They leave both of their center backs basically 12 times a game, let's say combined. 1v1. There's no way this works. And it really does. I can't believe it. Honestly. It's so impressive. Like, especially John Stones. I mean, Ruben Diaz was excellent in the games I've watched on his side. But specifically, John Stones, oh my God, man. I'm not even going to lie. It's a very, very impressive skill. If you can look at a defender right in the eye and go 1v1 with him and he can't beat you over and over and over, I mean, no defense, no attack is built to stop that, because all an attack is, every attack is just situated for me to get a one-on-one matchup. That's basically what I want. Everybody wants that. And no defense in history, in any sport, is built to stop. If you can beat me 1v1 consistently, no defense can stop that. Okay? Because as soon as you beat the first man, now I have to commit somebody else. Now somebody else is open, and it just breaks down the entire defense, right? For my center backs, or for their center backs, obviously, for their center backs to be able to consistently win the 1v1 battles, it gives them an infinite amount of options. Once you do that, once I establish that I can stop you 1v1, I have so much freedom in what the things I can do defensively. And look, obviously there's an element of like, how long can you keep that going? How long? Eventually, surely somebody's going to beat them. And somebody will. Somebody will. You can't keep sending 1v1 matchups and eventually somebody's going to, Adama Traore usually, he's going to dribble past 8 people and he's going to score. And it's only a matter of time when that happens. But the thing is, this is where I go back to the individual quality thing. That usually people talk about that as for attack. Oh, they're too reliant on individual quality. I see that a lot for Liverpool, but then I'm like, but do you guys watch City? Those same people are the same ones praising City, and I'm not even criticizing, by the way. I'm super impressed by what they're doing, but it is individual brilliance that's getting them to this. All right, it's not a scheme. I mean, it's partly a scheme, but it's 75% individual brilliance. It's a scheme that pushes you onto our center backs that we think will just beat you. And so far they've been right. God bless them. What a gamble. I mean, it's worked brilliantly. And this is why you spend 100 million. At that level, you get to do that. At that level, you spend so much money on these elite level players that you get to say, I'm just going to beat you one-on-one. I'm just going to beat you with individual brilliance. All right? Burnley can't do that. Burnley don't have that luxury. They have to scheme themselves into better attacks, and that's why they suck going forward, right? But when I'm at the top level, all I need to get you is to this spot, okay? All I need to do, it's the same thing. The same way all I need to do is get Mohamed Salah and get Sadio Mane 1v1. That's the same way all City needs to do is get their wingers 1v1 versus John Stones and Ruben Diaz. They're abusing the same exact concept just on the other side. And hey, it's a hell of a lot riskier when you're doing a defense. But it's working, so I have to give them credit. Superb signing. Ruben Diaz, I have to give a lot of credit. I mean, obviously, I don't like Pep and I don't like most of his signings. And to be fair, his track record is awful, so I'm not even not justified. But he got this one right. It looks good. And I'm very interested. I'm actually watching City now on a weekly basis, just trying to see if it keeps going, because there's like no one likes watching defense as much as I do. I watch Atletico Madrid on a weekly basis. So if they can keep playing at this level, I'm gonna continue watching. This is incredible football.